It's Friday, so it's time for the Daily Beat. How you doing? I'm Ben Shields. I'm with DailyTrib.com news editor Dakota Morrissiey. Dakota, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Good day.
All right, so something that's been going on since 2021, it's been the controversy with the Llano County Library system. Well, there were some lawsuits that started in 2022, and just heard from the Supreme Court that they have rejected the case, so it's done. So first off, background on it and what's happened since.
All right, short background is a group of Llano County residents filed a First Amendment and 14th Amendment lawsuit against Llano County and a bunch of its elected officials and the library system director for removing several books from the library without any kind of procedure. They just said, we don't like these books, we're taking them out. That lawsuit went on for, like you said, 2022 until just last week. And it went back and forth. It went between different courts. Some judges saying, hey, you got to put the books back. Others saying, well, you can take out some books and not others. Until finally a court decision came down saying, hey, the Llano County Library can do whatever they want. And the residents, appealed this to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court this past Monday said, you know what, we're going to let that stand, and that brings an end to this case.
Now, with the Supreme Court being the top law of the land, they say, oh, nope, so that means it's done.
Yeah, they didn't even necessarily, rule on it. They just said they didn't want to hear it. They said, we think we're going to let it stand. So that's the highest court in the land, and it brings an end to, like I said, years of back and forth between these residents and the county, and sort of confirming, hey, the county has the right to say if they don't want some books in the library, they can take them out.
It's a story that DailyTrib.com has been on top of for over 4 years, and also made national news. So it was definitely a headline-grabbing story.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I ever did on the job. I got hired. And then, like 1 week later,
jumped right into it.
They said, "Hey, can you go cover this library thing?" And I go there. The Washington Post is there, and all sorts of crazy stuff. It was a big deal.
All right, so read more about that. That's the Supreme Court decision or lack thereof at DailyTrib.com. And if you haven't done so, go subscribe, DailyTrib.com/subscribe. All right, so we've been hearing about the Marble Falls bonds. They had the bond election pass over a year ago, and there was some sort of hit of a wall, but it's back on now.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge problem, but basically there's $172 million worth of bond projects for MFISD, and before any of those things can get done, somebody has to draw up those plans. Somebody has to help them develop. How do you build a new baseball facility? How do you build an indoor sports practice facility, a new band
hall, yes.
So they had an architecture firm help them create all of this stuff. And then when it came down to actually doing the things, they found out that some of these cost estimates were way off, especially for the baseball field. So they ended up axing that architecture firm, but they picked a new one. And they're hitting the ground running again. So there was a hiccup, but the district is back on track. And these projects will start moving forward again.
Now, have they set a new timeline for when they think some of these projects might be completed?
Unfortunately, the baseball field isn't going to get done, in time for this season. The softball field is going to be ready.
Okay.
So the girls will have a new field to play on. But the thing that's the biggest up in the air is this new indoor multi-purpose facility, because it's going to be on the site of the current baseball field. So until the new baseball field gets made, they can't even begin
start
work
on that.
So there are no hard dates yet. This new firm's going to come in, sort some things out, and then we should get an idea in the future.
All right, read more about these Marble Falls ISD projects at DailyTrib.com. So here in the Christmas season, so many great events happening, and an event happening this Sunday is a Joppa Christmas.
Yes, I got an email about that, and we don't write about Joppa much, and I wanted
northeast part of the county, Burnett County.
If you haven't been to Joppa, it's like this huge city, this sprawling metropolis up in north.
It's really neat if you've never driven through there. It's pretty cool.
It is cool, and their biggest, like I said, they're going to have their Christmas celebration this Sunday, 3:30 p.m. to dark. We're talking hay rides. We're talking hot cocoa. We're talking carols. Just a good old-fashioned country Christmas. But something special about this is, Joppa has decorated their historic bridge forever.
Yeah.
That's been their Christmas tradition. And that bridge was destroyed in the flooding.
And the July flooding.
In the July flooding. So this is their first time stepping out and, creating a new tradition, the Joppa Community Christmas Village.
All right, so read more about the Joppa Christmas, dailytrib.com. And let's talk some football. The Llano Yellow Jackets, for the second time in school history, going back to the state semifinals. They went back during the COVID year in 2020. Now they're here in 2025, and they're back in the semifinals, going to be taking on the Yoakum Bulldogs. They won 38-35 against Edna last week, and I know that Llano is just buzzing with excitement.
I live in Llano. I mean, it's a big deal. Everybody, they're closing down shops. It's like the police department, the fire department, the city. Everybody has got Yellow Jacket fever right now. And I talked to Coach Green, and, he's pretty level-headed. He's been coaching a long time, and he says we're not looking ahead to state, to the finals just yet. We just want to play our best football against Yoakum, and I really respected that.
Yeah, I love small town Texas and high school football. The entire town going to shut down and head to Pflugerville to the field to take on Yoakum.
That's so close.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be packed. You're going to get a lot of folks going out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So good luck to the Jackets, and you can read all about everything we've talked about today at dailytrib.com. And again, please subscribe if you haven't done so. dailytrib.com/subscribe. All right, Dakota. So we'll do one next week. That'll be our final one next week before Christmas.
That's right.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas, and keep it on KBEY. It's the Daily Beat.